is back. Now, a few quick updates for you from the last video. Some things have changed along the way, as they're always want to do. I had mentioned in the last video the idea of going to the stage 1, doing a dyno, break-in miles, and the stage 2 from there. The way that this car actually came back from the mechanic was with the stage 2 already on it. And we'll talk more about that once we're inside the car, but suffice it to say there is likely not, unfortunately, a stage 1 downpiped dyno coming in the future. There is definitely, though, a stage 2 downpipe dyno coming in the future, although those are mainly a dime a dozen on YouTube at this rate. The other thing that's worth mentioning, I had discussed in the prior video, the notion of needing to possibly do a new turbo. Shortly after I had posted that video, I got a call from my mechanic who had actually seen it, wanted to deliver the good news to me that I did in fact need to put in a new turbo. So we put in the new turbo. That added about another $2,000 onto the build. What can you do at this point? But what you're looking at here is unique in some sense. What you have is a 6,000-mile-old chassis with effectively everything from here forward new. New engine, new turbo, new downpipe, new turbo piping, and the new clutch basically makes for half of a new car. And if that's what it sounds like, that'd be right, because that is pretty much exactly what the price point on this build was. The good news is, though, we have it back. It looks great, and for the most part, we're up and running. So when I say we're back up and running, I mean that halfway. The reason why I mean that halfway is because, as you know, we've done this new clutch. As you may not know, on a stage 3 clutch from South End, there is a required break-in period. So somewhere between 500 to 1,000 miles, you more or less have to baby it to get it to seat itself and make sure that it's not being overworked. You're not going to get any slippage. Basically what you're doing is wearing it in, but you're wearing it in gently to give it an opportunity to get settled in the car. With the stage 2 on it, I'm sensing that the car holds a lot more power up high. And so when you're limited, honestly, pretty dramatically on your power shifting, it's hard to keep and hold the car at those RPMs. So right now, I think it would be difficult for me to evaluate the stage 2 because I'm not really able to use it, right? I mean, if you're only allowed to shift in the 1,000 to 4,000 RPM range, you can't go very fast to get there. Not knowing the full potential of the stage 2, though, is different than not knowing any of the potential of the stage 2. It's worth saying that when, on the rare occasions I am able to access the power, it's terrifying. But it builds this boost a little bit. It seems like there's 2 sets of boost. It seems like there's one set of boost between 1,000 and 4,500 RPMs, and then at 4,500 RPMs, there is another greater, louder, stronger, faster, better application of the power. I mean, it's odd because it's uneven, and everything that I had read about the stage 2 suggested that it would be more likely to even out in terms of the power band. I don't agree with that based on what I can see so far. What I feel about it is that the power band is good and then better! So we're going to start right here, 3rd gear, about 3,000 RPM, and just floor it, and we're going to go, and then there. Like, it just, I don't know, man. But here, let's try it one more time. There. It's like it sings higher in a second set of RPMs. Like, it strikes me you probably have to drive this car at 120 miles an hour to be using the power, because it's just it's insane. In the original video that I had done on the APR Plus tune, one of the comments that I had seen a lot and that I even made in that video, sort of the idea that the Stage 1 or the APR Plus brings the car to where it should have come from the factory. Having the Stage 2, what I hear in that statement, here's the Stage 1 and this is how it should have come from the factory, is that the car still feels factory. I mean, it's faster, right? You've got an updated ECU tune on there, and it's moving in a different way than the factory car would, but it still felt like a car that had rolled off the line. The Stage 2 doesn't give me that, at least not so far. There's no sense here that this is how this car should have come from the factory. It feels like something that's been custom built to do what it does. And I think maybe that's worth acknowledging. A lot of people talk about the Golf R as being a great all-arounder. Even I said that in the first video, and I would agree with that entirely at that time. I think that when you do a Stage 2, you lose a little bit of that dynamic just by necessity. I think if you're gonna make the car more aggressive, louder, you know, put the bolt-ons on there, and you're looking for that extra delivery, you necessarily have to cut out some of the comfort that comes along with it. This is wilder. This is scarier. This is a more intense driving experience. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's changed the car fundamentally from what it was originally. And I think if you're going to be looking at doing a Stage 2, that's a trade-off that you should probably analyze pretty seriously. Is this a daily? Is this something that I'm going to be in regularly? And do I want to sacrifice any of that comfort for just the absolutely astounding delivery that exists underneath the hood now? We're going to start off at this angle because frankly this is the best place from where to see the downpipe. It's actually a cool look, tucked back in here. Of course, obviously you've got good APR branding. Moving over and across, you start seeing the carbon fiber piping, and of course ultimately culminating in that nice new APR intake. In any event, it's here, it's built, it's loud. I think we might take it for a spin. So I would definitely not do the APR Plus tune again. I don't think that there was any utility to spending twice the money on that product. I think if you're going to go Stage 1, my recommendation, having done it, would be do yourself a favor and just get the regular Stage 1. Something I would not recommend skipping, though, if you're going to keep doing stuff to your car, is the downpipe. That's 100% the best money that you can spend. You can hear why here. I'll take you outside so you can get a sense of it from there as well. For me, one of the biggest curiosities that I had, because I hadn't quite gotten a good answer to it yet, at least through YouTube, was what this was like in terms of pops and bangs. We hear all the time about the DSG farts, and I love them, honestly. I mean, they sound great. and it's a blast. And so you lose out on that with the manual transmission, but you don't lose out on too much. Take a listen. By contrast, when it comes to the intake, turbo muffler delete, intake piping, I mean, skip all that. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty. It looks pretty in the car. Makes cool noise. That's about all you're going to get out of it. I wouldn't expect sort of massive power gains or anything like that. Maybe there, I don't know, but I'm getting the sense that was probably $600 that could have been saved or better spent elsewhere. That, though, sort of leads us into the turbo. And like I was talking about earlier in the video, I mean, the turbo now is just making an insane amount of boost. Don't know if that's the new turbo. Don't know if that's the new stage 2. A little bit concerning, but I was not making 32 pounds of boost on this car on the stage 1. I can tell you that much for an absolute fact. And then the self-bend clutch. That I think was probably worth it. Clutch it's a tough sell for me just because, you know, there was nothing wrong with my clutch, but just as an initial impression, keeping in mind I'm still towards the tail end of the break-in phase here, I like it. The catch point is a lot higher up on the pedal, so you're getting much shorter shifts. Pedal feel is good. I will say, I mean, to get it all the way to the floor, it takes some needling. But you don't have to go all the way to the floor. So I'll tell you, if I had to push this clutch all the way to the floor every time to shift, I probably would not like it. But you don't have to. I mean, you can see, well, maybe you can't see from where the camera is, but I mean, these are short. This is a maybe 1.5 inches, 2-3 inches of pedal travel. I mean, you're nowhere near the floor on shifts. I guess the last thing to mention is the engine, which works like an engine, which is great. It was $7,000, so if it didn't work, I was going to be kind of pissed. So I wish I had more to give you right now, but it's just really fresh. I'm still processing in my mind how I even got here, and to sort of mentally reconcile how insane this year has been generally, how insane this year for cars has been. In the meantime, guys, stay safe. World's getting crazier and crazier by the day. So, yeah, we'll see you on the other side, and keep pumping out content about all the smiles you can get out of VW Golf R. See you soon.